Hey guys, welcome back to AMC for round 2 of the Connecticut Regional. For the very first time, we have a mirror match today. Greyjoy Crossing versus Greyjoy Crossing. On the right is Roy Rogers, and yes, that is his real name. On the left is Ronald McDonald. No, I'm just kidding. On the left is Devin Bell. Roy from New York, Devin, I believe, from New Hampshire. Greyjoy Crossing is a deck that completely caught me off guard when Roy said he was going to play it. I had no idea anybody was even considering it. It was something I had never thought of. So I was pretty surprised to see two people playing it that are relatively talented. They both know what they're doing. So I will be very curious to see how this game plays out. For full disclosure, I do know who won this match, but I will do my best to not tip that so you guys can enjoy the game. But I have no idea how this deck plays. I've never seen it played.
The timer's going. The timer's going? All right. Well, hold on.
But I highly recommend, if you have not tried the Lord of the Crossing agenda, that you should absolutely try it. It's a little more complex. There's a lot more decision points and a little bit more nuanced way to play the game. But it is really a ton of fun. I can't recommend it enough.
Hey-o, look at us. Somehow I knew that this would be that kind of thing.
So Roy on the right there has Balon and Seastone out right off the bat. And unfortunately, pretty poor glare on Devin's side. If anybody knows of any tricks to reduce that glare, I've tried just about everything, different camera angles and stuff, and it all really depends on the type of lights that the shop is using. But
sorry about that.
It appears to be Balon and Wendemere on Devin's side. 5 cards set up for Roy. Extremely rare out of Greyjoy, in my opinion, for now. Though the curve in Greyjoy is getting better now that they can supplement their cost curve with the Wildling Scouts to add the green icon. I can't tell exactly what the other 2 warships are for Roy, whether they're the Scouts or the Sea Towers, but I suppose we'll find out. I'm assuming both are probably going to drop Noble Cause here, but you never know.
Sure, I will.
Okay.
I will be second.
Okay.
You got Noble Cause for Roy. Can't really tell what Devin's is.
No, it does.
Really not surprising. As we've said many times before, Greyjoy's extremely expensive deck to play right now. And getting ahead is so important.
It's weird.
You just really can't afford to fall behind out of Greyjoy. Because there's not a lot of resilience. You do have a lot of tricks to help you gain that lead, but not a lot of tricks to help you retake it after you've lost it, unfortunately. That's why Greyjoy has cards like the saves, because they can't afford to lose their cards.
Yeah.
Greyjoy makes up for the inability to come back by having staying power with their saves. And that's only going to get better as the packs come out with Iron Mines. Very, very exciting card for Greyjoy to be getting. That's an awesome play for Roy. I like seeing the reader out early, because you're addressing 2 issues out of Greyjoy in a single card. Now Roy not only has his military strength out with Balon in the chair, but he's addressing his intrigue issue. He had no intrigue icons, and now he has the reader out, and the reader also provides draw. And Theon. Wow. You can't really ask for a much better start out of a Greyjoy deck for that than Roy has right now, unless he had Asha as well.
I guess I gotta sit.
All right, sitting on 3.
Sit on 3.
Gaining 11.
Gonna flood the board now.
Roy did have plenty of money left over, so he does have some bluffing going on.
Duke Wendemere. Ooh, I like it.
But yeah, Greyjoy is pretty weak out of intrigue as it is on a fealty build, where getting that 3rd challenge probably doesn't matter all that much to the win condition. But out of a deck like Crossing, where you have to make that 3rd challenge in order to make the downside of losing the strength on the 1st challenge worth it, you have to have those intrigue icons.
Oh.
How many gold do you have? 1 for Fishmonger. Nothing. Sure.
Wow. So Devin drops Fishmonger and Asha. This is going to be a really fun struggle to watch.
Draw a card. Fair enough.
Great to see shipwrights getting played. They're the green icon and soft location control, which I am a big fan of. Looks like another Priest of the Drowned God, I assume, for
Alrighty.
Devin. Another great intrigue filler for the Greyjoy decks.
Intrigue.
Do you want to heal anything?
So, Roy's position just went from dominating
So you passed into
to
challenges.
moderately behind
Your first play.
with
Yep.
Devin's marshalling.
I'm just saying before marshalling ends.
Right. Well, I am passing. So, like my action. So you now have to make a decision. If we double pass, then
I expect some pretty explosive action here, insofar as determining who's going to walk out of this round with the better board position.
It's going to be big and nasty, no matter how he gets cut.
Regardless of who has the most characters on the board,
Doesn't matter, 'cause it's not
by virtue of having to go first, Roy is definitely in a worse spot. But if he can get an unopposed challenge and Seastone Balon right now, that makes a very, very big difference.
go ahead.
Yep. All right. Power.
Hey, unopposed. You can have no power.
Military.
Roy tickling his cards.
Go intrigue. Intrigue. Yep.
As always, we can hear Chris Lavin in the background. Hello, Chris.
Okay. You can find the wolf.
Sure.
Okay.
I do like Roy starting with the intrigue challenge. Greyjoy does have an issue right now, in my opinion, with the ability to draw extra cards. So they usually sort of blow their load, so to speak, early, and then either win the game or slowly lose because they run out of cards. So unless Devin can see something like a Great Kraken come out or some other way to refill his hand, maybe a Counting Coppers plot, he's going to be in a little bit of a bad shape.
It'll be
Please.
Looks like a We Do Not Sow from Roy to kill Devin's economy. Always good when you can hurt your opponent's economy, especially in second edition.
And then I take one for.
This actually gives me a chance to talk about. I mentioned soft location control before. That's for an example. That's what the shipwright does. He's not handling the location permanently. He's just kneeling it for one round. That's an example of what we call soft control. Now, We Do Not Sow will discard the location. That's what we call hard control because it is a permanent solution. I'm a big fan of both. Generally, soft control is easier to put on the board because it is less effective long term. The triggering conditions for hard control are much more difficult because obviously the solution is a little more permanent.
I think so, but I'm going to take my one for the agenda.
Yep.
I'm going to take my one for unopposed. I'm going to kneel. Mind if I kneel
Here
this
comes
instead
Seastone
of
on Balon, I
extra card,
imagine.
Right, that just still says that, and then I'm going to target Balon.
Yep.
That is rough.
I can't do anything about it.
And I'm going to put a power on him, and I'll sit.
Very unfortunate for Devin. He's in a pretty bad spot, even though he does have Asha in stealths.
I'll lead with intrigue.
I expect
Unopposed.
that Seastone chair to start doing some
First
work,
running tiers?
probably targeting Devin's intrigue icons next to make sure he can never trigger his agenda to get that extra power.
Okay.
I believe the Lord of the Crossing agenda is pretty darn balanced right now. It's so much fun to play. There's a little bit of risk, obviously, in the -1 on the first challenge. And it can be easily controlled, especially with a card like Nymeria, where you can remove icons. Crossing decks are very vulnerable to icon manipulation right now, which is something that I think will improve as the card pool grows, when cards like Wildling Scout come out that are neutral options that will plug holes in every single deck. But just being able to get that extra power for your third challenge, in addition to the +2 strength on each character, which helps you trigger things like Put to the Sword, it's just a lot of fun to play. It makes you approach the match in a completely different way. But I definitely expect the Seastone chair to do a lot of work for Roy in this game.
Oh, that's right. Neil, shut up.
As we've said before on AMC, Greyjoy builds generally tend to be glass cannons, so this game will probably over pretty quickly. Whoever establishes board control first is going to win,
I'm gonna keep
Catching a break.
because you can already see Devin's position was really, really good out of the gates, but it doesn't take much. With Balon dead, he doesn't have any options to get him back, unless he can top deck an Aeron Damfair and the Iron Throne. and he better do it quickly because he's only got 2 other cards in his hand.
7.
7.
Yep. Is that it?
That's it.
All right. No actions for me.
Yep.
So agenda.
Yep.
Was opposed. Claim.
Yep. I took the claim already.
Okay. And then that's it for me. My 3 gold to your 2
Yep.
gold gets me done.
Yes.
So Devin does have 5 power here, but if you've listened to me before, you know that really doesn't matter to me on round 1. If you're not going to win the game, then I don't really care how much power you
Definitely
have.
good on reserve.
I'll worry about it when I have to worry about it. Though, interestingly enough, these Greyjoy builds can get a ridiculous amount of power in 1 turn. So when I'm playing against Greyjoy, I assume if they have at least 7 power that they are in danger of closing the next turn.
Ready?
Mainly with plots like Rise of the Kraken, which are just insanely good.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I'll trigger my plot first. I'm going to save these 3 gentlemen.
Yes.
No, Roy, you don't save them, you just don't target them. A little different.
We will.
This actually is a very good opportunity for me to point out.
Okay.
Generally, I rail on people who waste their resets early, but in this case, where the whole point of Roy's deck is to put pressure on his opponent with the Seastone Chair, I don't mind him throwing Wildfire turn 2 because it completely evens the board state. He's generally going to be able to go first if he wants to, and then trigger things like the Seastone to kill characters like Asha before Devin even has a chance to use her. So this is a rare scenario where I like the throwing of Wildfire right here, especially when you look at the 3 versus 3 that you're likely going to end up with. I believe that Roy knew exactly who those 3 versus 3 would be before he threw it. He saw that he had Balon, the Reader, and Theon, and he was more than happy to make that trade to face against the Drowned Men or the Drowned God, Asha, and Wendemir. That leaves him in an extremely superior position, especially with the 2 strength pumps and the Seastone on board. He knew Devin had almost no cards left to replenish his board. A very smart play there by Roy, in my opinion.
Okay.
Pass.
And now he has his own ship right out, so even if Devin has a King's Road, Roy can handle that with soft control
Rose Road. Sure.
by kneeling it, because you have to kneel the King's Road in order to use it.
Paying 2. Yep. For Syria.
Stereo, I like it. That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, stealth is very, very important out of Greyjoy, and in 2nd edition in general, but especially when you're trying to get those unopposed challenges. When you're playing as Greyjoy, you love to see stealth on your side, and you hate to see stealth on your opponent's side, because a single measly stealth can ruin a Greyjoy's day. You know, a simple card like
Who's going first?
Edric Dane out of Martell, with stealth that they can just give any icon to at will, incredibly annoying to deal with out of Greyjoy if you don't have a raiding vessel or Balon on board. Because he just completely prevents you from being able to get those unopposed.
I have an action.
Yep.
Pump.
Yep.
Win.
You got it.
We got so
We have to Rose Road.
gotta try to choke you out, man. I gotta keep an advantage somehow.
That's right, Roy.
Let me take
No
the power
mistakes
card
from you
code
yet,
before
as far
it
as I
forgets.
can see. Really, no mistakes from Devin either. It was just that Seastone on turn 1 for Balon. There's not much you can do about that, unless you happen to top deck the right answers.
So you have military and power left.
You have a military power.
So I believe this is actually one of the main criticisms of 2nd edition, is that you can lose a game on a single pivotal play through no fault of your own. So if we look back, what could Devin have done differently to make sure that didn't happen in round 1? Not much. He could have maybe drawn Risen from the Sea. He could have put an attachment on Balon,
Power.
but that is unlikely.
Stealthy.
Really, not much he could have done to avoid what Roy did to him there. And people don't like that in games of skill. They want to be able to think that their wins and losses are based on nothing but their own play decisions and the slight variance of their deck building. But you can generally lower your variance if you build your deck properly. That is the skill of deck building. The better you do it, the less variance you're going to have.
I win. One from you.
And especially with the plot deck, things like summons and building orders, where if you're relying heavily on a location,
Military for
and you
7.
need to be able to have it to implement your strategy, you just got to build your deck. Run 3 copies of the location, run 2 copies of building orders. It's that important. You'll find a way to get that location into play.
I'm gonna trigger him. Draw. Yep. And I'm gonna go ahead.
Roy,
and,
I think Roy knows he's in complete control here.
take one for my agenda.
Balon is just going to sit there and do work and murder
One
people
from you.
with the Sea Stone chair.
Or not one from you. One on a
And
post.
just look how fast.
Trigger the Sea Stone chair. And
Bye-bye, Asha.
To kill Asha. And
Military.
Interesting to note, I did predict Roy would target Devin's intrigue icons, but clearly Asha is a bigger threat there because Devin could get multiple uses out of her in a single phase. So by going after Asha instead of the intrigue icon, he's opting to control the challenges as a whole rather than trying to control the agenda, which is a perfectly legitimate strategy
Rhythm for
here.
the sea would be pretty good, yeah.
Just give them up. Let's lead
So
Mill.
Roy now has board position, he has a lead in power, he has more cards in his hand, and he has a base of economy.
Just in case you had the hand's judgment, I'm not risking any of my actual valuable characters.
Roy making it very clear that that is a very smart move. So if Roy had tried to use Risen from the Sea, thinking he was going to save Balon, and that Risen from the Sea got canceled, he would have had to kill Balon.
Sadly, that's unopposed.
So that is why if you're playing Greyjoy, never target your best character with a Risen, because if it gets canceled, you're going to be very sad. You cannot re-choose a target after that save gets canceled. So be very careful with your decision, unless you have your own hand's judgment to re-cancel.
Oh, sorry, Shadow Black.
Roy now has 8 power, so Devin has to be very careful. I think he should be throwing his highest initiative plot here to make sure Roy cannot go first. If there's any chance he can kill Balon in the challenges phase before Roy has a chance to use him and potentially close the game, he has to take it.
I do not have any gold this time.
That's really his only chance.
Good. Your choice on first player?
I really,
I'm gonna go first. Which claim
I
would
hate
you
to
like?
say it, I really
Power.
don't like
Power?
that
Cool.
plot throw here by Devin. Maybe he didn't have any other better options. If you can't see through the glare, he dropped Calm over Westeros,
Ready to draw whenever.
assuming he picked Power Claim, thinking maybe that would slow Roy down a little bit. But when Greyjoy has 8 power,
Count 2.
not being able to get one claim for a power challenge really isn't going to make all that difference, especially with Balon on the board. Personally, I have gotten, I want to say, 8 or 9 power from a single challenge out of Greyjoy before. If you've got Balon on board with Great Kraken and Theon, especially out of Lord of the Crossing and Rise of the Kraken turned over, Roy could win this game in a single challenge right now.
Sure.
Little renown goes a long way.
And 2 for a wildling boy.
I like it.
Or scout, rather.
Scout. Yep.
So yeah, I would have much rather liked to see Devin at least attempt to throw a high initiative plot.
Well, let's start here.
I don't think he gave up.
Intrigue for one.
I think he was doing what he thought was best. Maybe he didn't have any other better options.
One up to
But
5.
if there was any chance he could go first, I think he had to take it to just throw a Hail Mary and try to kill Balon before Roy could use him.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. That'll usually happen.
I'm gonna take 2 for unopposed.
Roy's doing his thing here, probably closing out the game. So I'm going to take this time to ask today's question to enter the drawing for the top 8 playmat that I got in Connecticut.
Do you have any pre-challenge?
Today, I want you to send an email to amcthrones@gmail.com and just tell me how you found Thrones. I'm talking about the game, not the TV show, unless the TV show led you to the game. I'm just curious. I like hearing people's stories about what drew them to the game or how they found it. In my case, it was a complete random thing. My buddy Bone from Connecticut had picked it up through his brother, brought it down to his shore house one summer, and him and me and a couple of our friends just sat there learning the game and playing Melee all weekend down at the Jersey Shore, and we had a blast, and the rest is history. That was the summer of 2011. And here I am today talking to all of you, completely ignoring this game because it's already over. So other than the last plot flip from Devin, which we've already said, probably he didn't have any other better options, I didn't really see any play mistakes in this game. I think Roy played flawlessly. But again, Out of Greyjoy, you can lose a game without doing anything wrong. And I understand that complaint. It can be frustrating. But the only thing that I can say is you really can't be frustrated because in this situation, you know what you're getting into when you play Greyjoy. You're either going to win fast or lose fast, and you have to accept that before you turn the card. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I left in this little bit of chat between Roy and Devin for you so you can hear them analyze the game. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope to see it tomorrow for round 3.
Nothing,
Dear Lord. Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, the Sea Stone. Are you running Sea Stone in your version?
I just took it out for Hands Judgment.
I'm running 2 hands.
Because, well, it's like I was running Sea Stone as a one-off, and I used it maybe once in all of my playtest games. So,
Like, I mean, I'm all running a one-up Sea Stone. I've just found it like I never like mulligan for it, but I have supported for it.
yeah.
And it just gives you like a little bit of extra flexibility. Like if you're set up on, if you already have Kraken out and you have the support, I can go fetch the Sea Stone chair. Then suddenly they're like, now I have to care about the power and the military challenge. Yeah,
I mean, it was one of those things where like it wasn't coming into play enough that when I went to go get these judgments, it was one of those things that I didn't have an issue cutting.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 Risen from the Seas, not showing up.
Yeah, I saw 2. I had one in my hand as well. So I just think I had the nuts draw that game.
Like,
we both set up really well though.
No dupes for Balon or Asha.
No, yeah. No attachments. Like you can't fishy net your own character, can you?
No, I think it's opponent's character only.
Because that would be a really cute thing to do to save your Balon.
So much better. So much comedy.
Yeah, I thought you had the Risen. Like, you seemed so confident, and I was like, if he's got the Risen, he's got the Risen.